Hello YouTube. Today I'll be teaching you the Spring into Inaction model by Jeremy Shafer. It's a very difficult model. Took me around 4 hours the first time around. This time we'll see what happens because it's been a long time. Let's get into it. For this model I'll be using a square of 10-inch kami, more accurately 25 centimeters, which is slightly less than 10 inches, and for the model, you also need a 1 by 2.165 ratio paper, so I will be cutting it down slightly just to get into the right dimension. Also, I unfortunately do not have a camera stand, so I'll have to hold my phone up and prop it against other objects for the remainder of this video. So for these dimensions, I found that one side of my paper is 25 centimeters, the other one will have to be 11.54, so I took my ruler, drew a line at that point, and did the same on the top. I then used these lines to fold straight through the paper, and then make the cut right on the fold. Best way to find out that the fold actually works and that the lines are across from each other directly, I will fold it up and make sure that the corner reaches the edge exactly on both sides. It should line up pretty well on both sides, but if it doesn't, you can always make small adjustments, which is okay to do. At first, we need a 12 by 15 grid on the paper, so the long way, we will make the 12, which means we will have to fold it in half first, and then fold it into thirds separate from that, and then fold each third into half, which the middle third is already in half. Once you do this, each of these 6 sections should be folded in half as well, and then you'll have 12 sections. I'll warn you right now, the short way of folding, do not fold it in half because we have to fold it into 15, which is not divisible by 2. So we will start by folding it into thirds and then folding each third into 5 parts. I will be using a few of Tadashi Mori's methods for finding sections of paper, one of them being the use of notebook paper and lines, and the other being approximation, and I will link the video in the description. This will get me my thirds and then 5 parts in one of the thirds, which I will use to then make 5 in each other third of the paper. Alright, that was quite the journey. We have 15 and 12 now. Took me about an hour and a half from when I started the project. Now we're going to start drawing in patterns to make it easier to fold. Just something to note, every horizontal fold is a mountain fold for the end, and then every second vertical fold is a mountain fold. The actual pattern is a bunch of X's that just go down and repeat, and then when you go sideways, they are off by 1 unit. So you'll have an X and then a diamond with an X right below it, and then an X next to that, and so on. It might help at first to draw little marks where the lines are if it's hard to see the folds that you have to use to draw. I've also replaced my ruler with a piece of folded up paper just because it's easier to use, and it might be the same for you. One thing I forgot to say is that if you want the colored side to be on the outside, which is probably what you want, then you should draw the pattern on the white side so you won't see that, and you should fold right on these lines. Also, my drawing was a little bit messy here, but it should give us an idea of where to make the folds and what it'll look like. You'll see here that it's very important that you have those mountain folds on the vertical and horizontal lines, and that you have valley folds on each of the diagonals, because the X's kind of form into each other, and eventually you just start out doing that row by row and then collapse it downwards. You'll also see that the points that jut out of the paper will run into each other, and so you have to put one under another in a little pattern that goes diagonally, and it'll eventually fit better. You'll see that the tighter you form it, you'll end up seeing triangles both at the end of the model and on the outside of the model. It's easier to just use the horizontal lines you see to push the X's together and just do that all the way down. The model will want to curl backwards just as you're forming it, but eventually it'll curl around itself the other direction. Unfortunately, the book doesn't mention how exactly to put it together, other than Jeremy's writing that it will be a puzzle to figure out. So we'll see if we can do this. So you're going to want to get each of these corners to go underneath the one to its right, or you could go the other way. That's just the way that I did it, and go down the column doing that, and then you'll be able to push it together, and you'll see these spikes forming on the outside, which will be eventually the points of the Star of David. Overall, though, it's really beautiful seeing how everything comes together on this particular model and a lot of Jeremy's models in general. Uh, I believe the creation of this model involved a lot of math and planning, and overall, it's an amazing final product. We just got to make sure that the left side of each X keeps going underneath the right side and follow the same pattern of the spiral. At this point we are almost there. We're just going to put together the sides, alternating each point going to the next, and then we just squish it together and keep squeezing the points on top of the other points. I think everything took me about 3 hours to do, a little bit less than 3 hours maybe. The collapsing honestly didn't take that much time. It's really just a lot of pre-creasing and drawing and making, especially using a small paper, smaller folds, but it'll be easier with the bigger paper, so I would definitely recommend that. Also, my minor errors in both folding and measurement built up over time, but overall it'll take a pretty good precision, but it doesn't have to be perfect. It'll just show up a little bit at the end. Thank you again to Jeremy Shafer for granting me permission to make this video and tutorial. Please check out his book, Origami Ooh La La. I got it when I was really young and enjoyed it a lot and made many of the models in the book. So yeah, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment on suggestions. I will most likely not be uploading too much, but I'd love to hear what you guys think. Bye.